Ange, I wanted to ask you about comebacks. I think 22 points from losing position, you got the second highest total in the Premier League. Clearly a trait of your team, their ability to do that. I wondered, how did you instill the qualities that are required to do that in this group?
Yeah, I think it's something that's been consistent throughout my sort of coaching career. I think if you go back, right to the very start, most of my teams, all of my teams had that sort of trademark of kind of, being able to turn around results or winning games late. Part of that is just the actual game model itself, which, as simple as it sounds, when you're so committed to playing a certain way, the score almost becomes irrelevant. So, I think with a lot of teams, when they fall behind, they have to either change their approach or find a different approach, or when they're winning, they maybe change their approach. With us, whether we're winning or losing, we won't change our approach. So, when like we did on the weekend, when we concede, it's not like the team are then going, well, okay, what do we do now that we've conceded? We just keep going. And I think when there's that sort of clarity of purpose, it makes it easier for the players then to look for the solutions in just the way we play, rather than sort of looking for something that's, not a constant in our game plan. And I think that helps them, because there's always a sense of a little bit of anxiety or desperation, particularly when you're getting late in games and you feel it in the stadium and the supporters, because they all want to win. That, how do you navigate that? And I think I've always felt the best way to navigate that is to have clarity about how we're going to go about it. And I think I've seen it with this group of players as well. That it doesn't. There isn't that sort of desperation when we're chasing a result. It's just, let's just keep doing what we've been doing.
In terms of keeping your players calm in those situations where they do go behind, is it the sort of thing that they feed each other? Once you've done it once or twice, you know you can do it. So.
Yeah, that becomes sort of part of the process. So again, because you can get affected by, invariably they'll look at the scoreboard and there's 86, 87 minutes, and you can get really anxious. But I don't think we try and instill in them not to worry about that. And sometimes it gets dismissed when we score a lot of late goals where we're already ahead as well, and people kind of dismiss that. But that's part of that process as well, is that you just keep going till, irrespective of the result. So even if you're winning comfortably, you go and try and score another goal rather than sort of shore up the game. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's. I think it's a byproduct of kind of everything else I try and instill in the team in terms of the way we play. And like I said, it's kind of been a constant in my career.
Just going back to what you said about Timo Werner, you mentioned you still see some improvement in him. And you touched on maybe it might be as he gets used to what you do here, but is there sort of an individual improvement you're trying to get out of him as well? And when it's a loan spell half a season, how do you sort of an individual element?
Yeah, because I mean we probably play a little bit differently. Obviously, he's always played in a kind of fairly certainly at Leipzig and earlier in his career in teams that were fairly aggressive anyway. And he's played in those wide areas, but there are sort of some more distinct things we do in terms of our wide players, but also just. Him getting used to the intensity of the way we train and the intensity in which we play. I think probably from a physical perspective, that's been his biggest sort of adjustment. And it's like all the other players we've sort of signed, it takes them a little while. Apart from the guys who came in right at the start of pre-season, even for somebody like Brennan, it's taken them a while to really get to that physical standpoint where they can, training is they feel like they're getting stronger at training, and then that transfers to games. But like I said, it's a small window. But I think I've said before, even when I signed him, but I've done it with loan players before. I don't look at it as a 6-month deal. You kind of treat them like everyone else, and hopefully get improvement over a longer period.
Just lastly, you mentioned something earlier on about attacking players and then being judged on goals and assists, and it sounded like there are other things that you look for in judging on attacking players. Can you sort of expand on that? What are the other qualities you want? Maybe what anyone sort of...
Well, yeah, I mean, it's no secret in our team. I mean, part of sort of our big strength this year is our ability to really be aggressive in the way we sort of press other teams, and that starts with our attacking players. I mean, and that's where I think Sonny's been unbelievable for us this year. I mean, even on the weekend, he kept harassing, he kept chasing, and we've scored a lot of goals this year just by our front three really having an appetite to be our first form of defence, and we've won a lot of balls in that front third, of which invariably they're the beneficiaries of, because then they get their goals and assists. But that's a big part of it. You need somebody who's going to, apart from the goals and assists in a defensive sense, will be an instigator in that for us. And then there's some other stuff around, sort of, some structural stuff that it takes a little bit of getting used to, whether your player's a wide player or a central player, and there's some finer details in there where it can help us as a team, both in our build-up. How you can contribute to our build-up, and then also, like I said, in a defensive sense. So all those things. Look, there's no doubt you're playing the front third, you've got to score goals and make goals as well. That's still a big measure, obviously, for me as well. But, you need all these other things as well.
George?
You always look so calm on the touchline. Is that how you feel inside? And if it is that sort of based on the evidence? I guess every season there's a game right down, that's when you've seen the team score the goals, so
Well, no, not just this season. As I said before, it's 26 years of it, so you kind of know. And, I think if I want the players to be sort of clear-headed in that moment, it won't help if I'm jumping around and screaming my head off, It doesn't really... And it's not me anyway. I mean, it doesn't mean I don't internally, feel the anxiety and all those kind of things. But I've learned that, as I said, over the course of my career, that in those moments, because I still, may be needed in those moments. We scored and we made a substitution straight away. I put Pierre on. So if I'm kind of running down the touchline just thinking we've scored and we've won, then I don't think I'm helping the team, But that doesn't mean internally I'm not running. Probably help me if I did it physically as well. But, I think, again, my role in that point of time, and again, it's just me. It's not. I think this is the way it should be. It's just me as a person. It's the best way I can deal with sort of what's happening, and I think that helps. And my role in that moment is try and help the players.
You mentioned Pierre, and he said sort of the best really kind of not happy, wants more minutes. Is there anything sort of more he can be doing to get more minutes?
No, he's doing all he can. I think he mentioned he's training well and he's presenting himself, and he's not happy. He hasn't played enough. I understand that. There's probably other players in there who are equally as unhappy who haven't been playing, but that's okay. I understand that they're human beings. What I look at is how they're training, what their attitude's like, and when presented with opportunity, are they ready to contribute? Pierre certainly has been, but as I said, there's others in that boat as well.
Is he still pushing Basuma to kind of take some midfield role, or do you see?
They're all pushing each other, mate. There's no there's no individual competitions in there. It's about like I said, what I see every day, what I see during game time, and always makes these decisions with the ultimate sort of backdrop of what's going to be best for the team.
And it's West Ham tomorrow, and the kind of narrative around West Ham whenever they lose is how long they can win until they won a trophy. They've been regularly in Europe. You're obviously looking at it from the outside, but does it feel like he's sort of not appreciated as much as maybe he should be?
Yeah, probably. I think he's an outstanding manager. I rate him so highly. He's one of the ones I've always rated highly, not just because, longevity in the game means something, especially at this level. And, whether it was at Everton or the difficult job he had at Man U, he went abroad, he's never stopped coaching. And I think he's done a brilliant job at West Ham. Anyone who thinks otherwise, the team they are today, and the players they've got there, they've got some high quality footballers in that team, and I think they're going to get better. People are questioning, but again, I guess it's a bit of sort of today's world we live in, where there's always a short-term kind of reflex to everything that happens. But I've got no doubt he's one of the outstanding managers in the game.